I reminisce. Yeah. I reminisce for a spell, or shall I say?
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to be a successful foreclosure acquisition specialist. And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donny.
Hello, and welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donny. Hey, and before we get started today, I just want to do a quick message of gratitude. I've got my man, my producer here, Mr. John Winston. John, what's up?
Not so much, man. Just enjoying the day.
Excellent. A beautiful day right here in downtown Denver, Colorado. We're coming to you live from the Zen Office Suites in the Johns Mansfield building right here in downtown Denver, Colorado. And again, I wanted to say thank you because we've gotten so much feedback from the show now. People who are listening to it, getting a feel for what we have to offer. And I have to say, the goal of the show was to inform, to educate, and to entertain, right? So we're glad you're enjoying the show. We're glad you're learning something from the show and really hope this has an impact on your life, right? If you're looking to become a foreclosure investor, a foreclosure acquisition specialist, then this is a show to do it. We are going to take on all of the issues facing the foreclosure investor, becoming an investor, what tools you need to work off of. As the opener states, we want to go over the mindset, methodology, and tools that a foreclosure investor needs to be successful in this industry. So that's what we're going to cover here. That's a big part of what we do, and it's so awesome to know that so early on in the infancy of the show that we're making a difference, that people are getting some value from it based on the feedback we're getting. Thank you so much for that. Please keep that coming. It motivates us to keep this going and offer you as much content as we can to help you along your process of becoming a foreclosure investor. That being said, we got to talk about what's going on in foreclosure news, man. A lot of stuff going on right now. I read an article that mentioned that there's a bill in Massachusetts proposed to basically stop the foreclosure process, or at least delay the foreclosure process in Massachusetts. Now, on the surface, this seems awesome. And I want you guys to know that we're foreclosure investors. That doesn't mean we don't have a heart, okay? So one of the things that was mentioned is like, hey, you only want to see people lose their homes. No, not exactly. We're looking for a normal market cycle. And in a normal market cycle, homes are going to go up in value, homes are going to go down in value. Some people are going to lose their homes just by virtue of what happens in the marketplace. Maybe it's a divorce, a death. Things happen where things change. And the reality of that is it keeps the market sort of stable. Right? So this bill that they're proposing is going to require mediation before foreclosure. It was proposed by Senator Nick Collins out of Massachusetts. And the idea behind it is to avoid predatory lending, to stop foreclosures in the case of predatory lending. And that I do support. There are definitely some bad loans out there where people have not gotten the best deal they could have gotten. Now it's ending in foreclosures. This bill proposes slowing down or going to a foreclosure mediation process. Here's the problem. There's generally an overstep anytime these bills take place. It seems like a good idea to stop the foreclosure process, right? It seems like a good idea to keep people in their homes. But I can tell you the reality is the process does not stop just because there's a moratorium. Many years back, I believe it was 2009, a similar moratorium was out there that prevented foreclosure from taking place, and it stopped them for about a full 90 days. So for 90 days, lenders were unable to foreclose, okay? And the problem with that was it created this huge backlog of properties. So here we are 90 days into this moratorium, there's still people not paying their bills. There's still people not able to cover their mortgage. There's still people who've lost their jobs or going through a divorce, and that house is going to foreclose anyway. But because of this moratorium on foreclosures, the net result is a whole bunch of properties hit the market in the same first quarter at the same time, fundamentally dropping prices in neighborhoods drastically. Okay, now where people hear about foreclosures, they're concerned about the guy losing their house. What you got to remember is another side to the coin. If a bunch of foreclosures hit the market at the same time, the guy who's selling his house retail, the guy who's taking care of his home, the guy whose job is transferring to another place now cannot sell at market value because all these foreclosures hit the market at the same time, right? So the problem with that happening all instantaneously sounds like a good idea, but it's not. Right? So I like the idea of the bill, but I want you guys to know there's a natural cycle. Cars is a great example, right? There are cars that are going to be on the road that are going to get wrecked. It's unfortunate, but it happens. every single day, right? Their cars are going to be repossessed. If that did not happen, right? If you suddenly took all cars on the road were just operating, you'd have too many cars, right? There's a natural cycle where it has to bottom out, if you will, right? And that's where we are with the foreclosure process today. We are in a marketplace where in certain markets there are far too many foreclosures, right? An indication that inventory's hit highs that it probably should not have hit. It's too much. Now people are unable to sell, so they're foreclosing. And you have the flip side of that, where in Colorado, where I'm located, there are too few foreclosures, right? We simply don't have a bottoming of the market to keep it stable. Now, that sounds like a good thing, but here's why it's not. If left unchecked, these lack of foreclosures keep pushing property values up and up and up and up, resulting in home ownership becoming impossible for first-time home buyers. If you're in like New York as a marketplace, right, the starting price of a home, a single-family home in New York, is like $600,000, right? That makes it very unaffordable for most people to buy a home in New York City, right? What happened? There was no bottom. You see what I'm saying? The bottom is required. So what we do here with foreclosure investing is we are looking for that bottom. We're looking to buy at the bottom and sell closer to the top. And this is a good thing because in addition to making money, it takes those bad comps off the market and it turns them into good comps, right? The investor is a necessary part of the real estate cycle. Like you simply must have the investor, the profiteer, the capitalist must exist for the real estate market to function. I believe that down to my core. Right? And in order for that investor to function, he's got to buy properties at the bottom of the market. And in order for there to be a bottom of the market, there must be a foreclosure system. Right? So it all kind of comes around. And what we do here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast is we're discussing the mindset, the methodology, and the tools that a foreclosure investor needs. Right? So that's a little piece of mindset for you, right? We're looking at, it's easy to assume that all foreclosures are bad. I'm going to argue that some foreclosures, a normal percentage of foreclosures is a necessary part of a market to function properly, right? When there's too few, prices are too high. When there's too many, prices are too low. You're looking for that exact medium balance, which you will never achieve, but you're trying to keep the wave somewhere in between so it balances out. Does that make sense? So this show, you should get to the sponsorship, is actually sponsored by Privy Real Estate Investment Software. Privy is the ultimate real estate analytical tool to help you evaluate foreclosures right side your local market. So you can determine properties in there, you can find out what they're worth without having to do an agent CMA, without having access to the MLS. Finally, the real estate investor has a level playing field where they can do their own analysis. That's Privy software. We're going to go into detail on that tool today, but just kind of that first template. First of all, foreclosures are necessary. Next up, you need to have a proper tool to analyze those foreclosures that come into the marketplace. So the first of the tools we're going to discuss today is the Privy Real Estate Investment Software. And by the way, if you're interested in checking this out, which you will be when I'm done talking about it with you, you're going to want to head out. We're going to send you a special link where you can try out the Privy Real Estate Investment Software for free for 30 days. Yeah, that's a $97 value because they offer it $97 a month. You can have it for free for 30 days just to sample it out. Go ahead and reach out to me. Send me a tweet on Twitter. Find me on the Facebook page. We will get you your 30-day free trial of Privy software. But basically what Privy is going to do is it's going to walk you through the analysis. So let's start at the address level. You find a property, a foreclosure, preferably, that you believe is under market. What did you do in the past? Well, in the past, you had to go to a real estate agent who had access to sold data, right? And that real estate agent would take that sold data and they would tell you based on the sold comps in the neighborhood, not what's active, because active doesn't matter, okay? Under contract helps, but that's also not completely the case. What we really want to see is what sold. Right? Because when you know the sold data, you can then compare the property that you're evaluating and make sure it's not just cheap, because that's important, but cheap enough to warrant purchasing it, your cost of funds, and of course the rehab that you have to put into it. Right? And if you're doing all those things properly, you're going to end up in a profitable deal at the end game, right? And if you don't do that analysis properly, if you miss that mark and you believe you're going to sell that property for $300,000 and it turns out the comparable sales are going for $275,000, you're going to lose money on that deal. Right? So it's so important you do the analysis appropriately, and to do that analysis properly, you're going to want to rely on a tool like Privy Real Estate Investment Software. So check out the free trial because you're going to see how entering the address is the beginning. From entering the address, it then shows you not just the comparables, but the investor comparables. And why is that important? Okay, because comparables are retail sales. There are people who sold their home on the open market. So when you're just asking an agent to run a comparable market analysis, CMA for short, you're generally getting just retail sales. Okay, and that's not a bad thing. That gives you an idea on the overall retail market. Here's the good news about a fix and flip. What's the difference between a retail sale and an investment flip? Condition, right? A retail sale has the family, the kids, the furnishings of an occupied property, right? It's kind of like comparing a brand new car versus a used car, right? They're fundamentally the same product, but which one sells for more? Right? The brand new one, right? A rehab property is the equivalent of buying the new car. So when you're running your comps, you really want to see what other investors bought in that neighborhood, rehabbed it, and then sold it at investor retail. And that's an entirely different term. Investor retail implies he bought it within the last 6 months, fixed it up, and then resold it on the open market at, or hopefully above even, retail. You don't want to base your comps on above retail comp, but you want to see what the other investors did in that marketplace. Privy gives you, why they named it Privy, is it gets you privy into that information. You can now see other investor comps in there, where they bought it, before pictures. So it actually shows you, here was the before, and then where they sold it, after pictures. And those after pictures describe everything they did to it. If they added square footage, you'll know about that through Privy. If they went from 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms, you'll know about that, right? And ultimately, you'll be able to see exactly what value additions you need to do to your rehab to get the same number that investor got. Do you see the power of that data? Do you see how important it is to know what the market did? You know what's great about foreclosure investing is the market doesn't lie. Right? It's a very clear thing. It tells you what it's going to take to get the property in rehab condition. I wanted and I dabbled for many years in like stock trading, right? But the problem with stock trading for me was I didn't know what the market was going to do next. Like you can't be certain that if the stock's going to go up or down, earnings statements, a lot of stuff that's out of your control. Not as much the case in real estate investing. Although there are some market conditions that can catch you a bit off guard, it's very rare. The market's pretty consistent, right? We have a 6% annual appreciation. We've got a good idea on what sold in the last 6 months in that neighborhood at that square footage. And we know, based on trends from builders and other stuff that's going on, what people like. If stainless steel is popular, you put stainless steel in there, right? If the black appliances are in that neighborhood, you do that. But you have to know what's not only popular on a national scale, that's kind of cool because you see that on flipping shows and whatnot, but actually what's happening inside of the neighborhood you're doing rehabs in, right? And if you've got that data via Privy, you're in a great spot. Right? So again, do you see the power of having that level of data? So now we've got Privy out of the way. We know we've got to be able to do an analysis of the property. The next question, of course, is where are you going to get the list of properties to work off of, right? And there's so many tools out there for finding. Privy will actually let you find on-market deals, but here's the problem with that. When they hit the market, you've got a bunch of competition. And in the situation where you're trying to get an edge out on the competition, you need a tool to get to the back end of the data before it's even made it to the market. And Privy will get you on market, help you to analyze on market deals. But I also use my special link to foreclosures.com, which, as the name indicates, is a one-stop data source for locating foreclosure listings all over the country. And I've been using it for years. And a lot of people still do not even know it exists. And I encourage you, if you want to check that out, as a Foreclosure Deals Coach member, you can get 7 days free where you get instant updates into your email on foreclosure listings. But what's great about it is pre-foreclosure. People are in notice of default, getting data on the property before it's listed on the property. Once again, if you'd like to try it out, send out a message to me. I'll get you a link for a free 7-day trial on that. It's a subscription service, but I promise you, one deal annually pays for itself several times over. It's worth every penny because the level of data coming down directly from the banks as soon as they go into the foreclosure process is invaluable. Now, you can't necessarily act on every property that's a notice of default, but by knowing about them, you will know what areas to focus your attention on buying in. You will know where to get the best deals, and you will know about it long before your real estate agent has gotten it on the marketplace and is able to provide you that data. It's a hugely valuable tool. Once again, we want to get you signed up because once you have your list of foreclosures streaming into your inbox every single day, and you can now do an analysis on those properties, now you're moving on to your next step and next valuable tool that you have to have in your arsenal as a real estate investor. And that next tool is your rehab calculator. You need to be able to calculate what the cost of the rehab is going to be. Now, many of you listening to the show, I talk to people all the time, have an extensive construction background and they intend to do the work. Let me tell you, you guys need a rehab calculator even more. One of the biggest problems I see with do-it-yourself real estate investors is they get in over their head by doing too much work or too little work because they're trying to do it by themselves. You really need to put a price on your time. Even though you can do it for free, quote unquote, your time has a value. And I've seen people who overinvested on time, and although they may have made money, on the flip, in the end, they lost money overall because they spent too much time working on it. Don't be that guy. A proper rehab calculator, which is provided to you as part of my coaching program, will allow you to do a calculation based on square footage, which is going to tell you how much carpet's going to go in, approximately, how much vinyl or tile is going to go in, how many bathrooms need to be remodeled, how many cabinets have to be installed, what the cost of the countertops is going to be. And by having a distinct plan on getting your foreclosure rehabbed, you will know where your profitability is going to be. If you know you're buying the property for $200, right? And the comp suggests it's worth $300 because you've done that analysis in Privy. You now know to make the profit you want to make, you can't spend more than say $35,000 on the rehab on that property to get the desired outcome you're looking for. People don't plan to fail, they fail to plan, right? And foreclosure investing is common for that because these crazy rehab shows make it look so easy. It looks so easy to just go out there and buy a house. The reason I got into foreclosure coaching is a lot of people came to me and go, Donny, I don't know what to do. Like, I bought this house, I'm not sure what to do. So over time, I became a mentor, a coach. And now I'm doing that professionally, where even before you buy the property, we're going to walk through all the semantics of making sure you're financing it right, you're buying it right, you're rehabbing it right, and you're selling it right? And by doing all of those things, we can nearly guarantee your outcome. There are no guarantees in life, so I hesitate to use the term guarantee, but we can nearly guarantee if we have a plan going into it where you know exactly what you do to this property before you even turn the key on it. You've got a plan that's going to save a ton of time. Right? So the three tools we covered today, just to recap, we've got Privy real estate investment software to analyze a deal, foreclosures.com, through our link here, you can get 7 days free to find the deal, to bring in a list of properties even before they're on the market and do that proper analysis, because whether the properties are on the market or not, Privy will help you to analyze that property, which is incredible. It's an on-market and off-market tool. You have to see what that house is going to sell for, even if it's not currently listed, which is awesome. And finally, your rehab calculator. You're going to want to make sure you're not overspending or underspending on the rehab. I can tell you in almost every case, the investors I work with are working on the overspend side, right? They're trying to improve the property to something that they would want to live in. This is a huge error, right? And it goes to say the mindset of a real estate investor. You're not looking to build your dream home. You're looking to build a house that's going to sell accurately within the comps that are in that marketplace. If the market is huge on hardwood floors, you want to put in hardwood floors, right? But in some entry-level markets, a lot of them just no carpet. And you got to remember, you're trying to cater to your end buyer. So if the end buyer has been an apartment dweller most of their lives, right? And they're buying their first time home, they see hardwood and they've heard horror stories about their dog scratching it or the amount of maintenance. All they've ever dealt with is carpet. So you're going to want to make sure that although hardwoods look gorgeous and you have hardwoods in your home, that you not necessarily offer hardwoods to the segment that doesn't want to buy that. And Privy's going to help you with that. You're going to see what is selling and how long it's taking to sell, what the days on market is based on what rehab you're putting into the property. This is important data. Okay? And all of this adds up to being successful in foreclosure investing. And being successful in a lot of cases requires the right mentorship, the right coaching. I was very blessed early on in my career to partner with people who were already doing this full time, who had already built an entire career off of this, and then were willing to pass on that knowledge to a next generation of people. I'm a product of that, and you can be as well. But if you've got the right mindset, if you understand how the foreclosure market operates, why the foreclosure market operates, you've got the right methodology, you know how to buy the property, to get the contract, negotiate the contract, get it closed, fund it correctly, and you've got the right tools like Privy Real Estate Investment Software, foreclosures.com, and your rehab calculator, you're putting yourself in a great spot to be a very, very successful real estate investor. And that comes with the freedoms we're all looking for, right? The geographic freedom to work where you want, the time freedom to work when you want, right? And the financial freedom to buy what you want. All of that comes from a successful career in foreclosure investing. That's what this show is all about. That's why I hope you guys are joining us every single week right here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. So that's about it for today, man. We wanted to really go over some of the tools that we're going to operate here. I hope you've enjoyed the show. As always, we're going to ask you to head on out and like our Facebook page, Foreclosure Deals Coach, right? You can follow us on Twitter at Foreclosure Deals Coach. And of course, you can reach out to me personally, Donny Corum. Find me anywhere. Just look up Donny Corum, and I will appear magically, just like that, to solve all of your foreclosure investing needs. That's what the show is all about. This is my passion. This is what I love. This is what I want to bring to you each and every single week right here on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. We hope you've had an incredible time here on the show today. We hope you continue to tune in. And of course, if you would share this with your friends, get the word out there about the Foreclosure Deals podcast. We are growing in listeners faster than I ever could have imagined. It's an incredible time for us, and I hope that you will continue to be a part of what we're offering here right here on the podcast. With that, this is Donny Corum, your Foreclosure Deals Coach. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the top.